hitting on something. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. For me, it's morning right now. In this video, I'm going to try to get the brake booster off the firewall, steering column out, all the wiring harness out, and get the 58 body mated to the 89 Caprice floor pans. That's a lot to do in a day, so let's see if we can get it done. It don't matter. Now we've got to gingerly lift it off. Told you it's heavy.
Pretty heavy part of the whole car.
All right, now let's go cut a bunch of everything else out. Climbing in this car is my favorite thing. My joints will never get stiff because of how much I have to move. Wow, that moved a lot. What the? That's going to be a problem later, I think. It moved like an inch. I'll just sit down here with all the broken bulbs. Oh, God. I don't know, let's cut the other one off. Didn't move. Well, that is smashed down, so of course it would be twisted out. See where it's dented? I guess I should show the camera where it's dented. Yeah. Now I just have to chop this whole wheel well out of both sides. must have got the gas tank dropped out. So here we are. Got some stuff trimmed up. Steering column out. Everything stripped off the firewall. Wiring harness spaghetti everywhere. Big mess, but it's progress, positive progress. So you can see this firewall is going to line up okay with this firewall. Hopefully it will sit somewhere, this top edge will sit somewhere below the VIN plate. And again, I'm going to delete that. I just want to make sure I can use my factory wipers. I need to reposition the body on the lift so that I can get the rockers down over each other with a little bit of trimming. I've made nothing but a giant mess, but it's just gonna have to stay that way for now. So the rear, you can see, there's a couple things. Well, the whole frame needs to go back a bit. Right now, it keeps working its way forward somehow magically, but I need to, again, reposition the lift arms to get them out from underneath there. I tried hanging the car on some straps, but then the body wouldn't go up high enough for me to get the frame underneath, so I had to do it this way. And now hopefully I could just take some straps to lift the body up with the lift and then start trimming the rockers and get it fit. In the back, I will show you. Again, it needs to come way back, so I'm gonna have to trim out a bunch of this, maybe some more of the caprice and pull it back, but I think it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna have a nice deep trunk from the station wagon, but that'll be cool. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and find a way to support this body so I can let the lift out from underneath of it. I think maybe some 2x4s on some cinder blocks, if I have some that are long enough to go that way. If I have enough left, I have to check. So let me work on that. Fortunately, I do have 2x4s. Hopefully they're wide enough. They should be. Let's go see what we can rig up here. Once I get this body set down, I'm gonna take a break and clean, because all the stuff piled in the car is gonna be a burden when it comes to trimming and fitting, and the shop's just, it's turning into a mess. I had my cousin up over the weekend, and he helped me get the caprice and everything moved around. So I didn't stop to clean anything. I just kind of made a giant mess. I don't know if that rear lift arm is going to clear. Might have to reposition those rear blocks. Hang on. Yep. You hear the car laughing at me? The witch laugh? Might have to chop some of this board off. Shoot. Or move the blocks. Maybe just move the blocks into the floor, but I don't want to be, because this is like the center point. That's where the balance is. So I don't want to be too far forward, or the whole thing's going to want to tip backwards. Let me reposition this. I'll be right back. All right, I trimmed a little off the board, so we should be good now. I'm hoping that I'm still not too far forward. If you're worried about the 2x4 breaking, you can see how much it's bending. I wouldn't worry too much, because this body probably doesn't weigh more than 300 or 400 pounds. The heaviest thing in it is probably the glass, in all honesty. Oops, I forgot to undo the ratchet strap here. But we are off the lift on 3 out of 4 corners, so let me go ahead and get this ratchet strap off. I got one on the other side too. I got to get off. And then I'm going to try to lift it from the outside with straps so that I could start trimming the rockers to fit over each other. I'm hoping my lift isn't maxed out and I can lift it up by the roof right there, and then some straps in the back. So let's, well, actually, I could always put some straps in the front and lift the body up. Okay, that'll work. I'll be back. This right here illustrates this entire project. The entire car is supported by that much 2x4, and I'm about to support it with $20 in Harbor Freight ratchet straps. So see, that's the thing about the internet. The evidence of your stupidity will never go away. And here I am putting it on full display for everyone. With my brightly colored Harbor Freight ratchet straps. The ratchet strap's already locking up on me. I think I'll do 2 in the rear and then come to the front. This is gonna be like one of those old TV shows from the 90s. Moments before disaster. The one where like the elephant rampaged through the town. You know, those things. They were always on like Fox when I was a kid. Shocking videos. Then there was like magic secrets revealed, that kind of stuff. That was quality entertainment before the internet was widespread. At least with the ratchet straps, I should be able to level the car out pretty good too. Yeah, you can see the car's already wanting to rock backwards now. Maybe I should have grabbed it back farther. Nah, it'll probably be fine. All right, let me do the front. I'll get back to you. I'm gonna go up a touch, but I'm afraid it's gonna just wanna lean backwards. So let's see what happens. Yep, it's leaning backwards. All right. I'll have to grab it farther back somehow. I had to jump in, I grabbed it. Shoot, that's probably 12 inches farther back. If this doesn't work, I'll have to go through the package tray or something. But hopefully this will be a good balance. It worked. The boards are free. The car is suspended from the lift on the straps. I'm just gonna kind of leave it hanging and cut what I need. I'm gonna be really delicate about this because I'm not gonna wanna be underneath of here, you know, for long periods of time. I'm not gonna wanna shake the car around. So I'm gonna get started on a couple of these little things and see how it goes. All right. I think all I have to do is split this off and cut some more of this back, and the body might drop over it. So we're close, really close. I'm gonna go ahead and get to trimming on that. I think I'm gonna get lucky and just cut the top off of that rocker and push that in and weld those two pieces together. And then it'll be completely boxed in underneath these rockers. And then I'll weld the inside of the rocker to in here. So I'm gonna keep trimming, keep fitting, and we'll see how it looks here in a minute. All right, so I haven't trimmed this rocker yet, but you can see they're perfectly gonna fit together. Only thing I gotta do is trim the firewall back, and then also either find a wheel in the rear with a better back spacing, which I think I have. These Buick wheels are pretty deep because they're pretty wide wheels. You can see how far the lug pattern is set in on the wheel. I've got some 80s Cadillac ones that are more flat, so it'll put the tire back because that is gonna definitely rub on both sides. So either a wheel with a different back spacing, or I have two other rear ends that are more narrow. The station wagon had a fatter rear end, and I could probably swap that out. So we'll make something work, but now I'm gonna jump in and trim this firewall back. So I'm just gonna clamp the rocker up, tack it back together. That'll box it back in, and just hammer and weld as I go. Got the firewall trimmed out, and we might be lowering this thing to set a ride height in a second. I got the firewall trimmed. I am gonna have to take the rear wheels off because they will touch on this side anyway. And look how close that gap is. That's gonna be easy to bridge those two and make it one complete piece. We are just like minutes away from this car sitting on this chassis all on its own. Since I want the car sitting perfectly level, I just set the frame on some blocks. And now I will channel the body down over the frame. Whew. I gotta mark that and trim some more of that out because it's touching, I think, too much on the inner. And it might be spreading it apart, and that's not what I want. So let me take care of that. I'm gonna go ahead and trim out a little bit more of the front of this rocker. It's just because that inner brace on the, on the Plymouth dips in like another 1/4 inch, and I just didn't have a 1/4 inch to spare. So I'm gonna just split it right there, and that should be plenty. Yeah. This is just test fitting all this. I'm not done. Because once it's down, I'm gonna weld some little tabs in it so it sits on it. And then I'll have to lift the body back up, clean all this up, weld it more solid, you know, fill in some of these gaps, stuff like that. Make it to where it's a nice even surface, not just a bunch of cut up metal underneath of it. I'm just clearing the way for stuff right now. See what I mean? I can get into this. I can box this in, I can cut this off, box all that in, and that's what I will do after a couple more test fits. But what I want to do is get the body down, weld some tabs in it so it stays. I want to check out the rear end situation, make sure the wheelbase is good, and then I'll lift the body back up and I'll dress up all this stuff really nice. So it's just one thing at a time. Now I'm gonna go cut the other side off and we'll lower the body back down. trim just a touch more right here, but I want the top of this rocker level with the bottom of the original rocker. That will give me like a 5-inch channel over the Caprice chassis. What's holding me up now, I think, is I've got to trim back here. I want to try to keep some of that brace. You can see where it's sitting. It's just going to rub in these corners. I think the whole back end needs to shift a little bit, but I got to trim this off first. So back up we go. I need my last 2 wheel dollies, but they're trapped underneath this wood stove. That'll work. I had to move the car back an inch, so I had to jack it back up, put it back on blocks on wheel dollies, because being just on blocks, I couldn't move anything. It's been all day, but we'll get it. What time is it? No. 2 o'clock, so not too bad. I've got some ratchet straps pulling it forward. I'm binding right there on the original emergency brake bracket, so I'm just gonna sawzall that out of my way, and we're gonna keep leveling this thing out. We're hitting on something. I've got it on the lift. I've been cleaning and sweeping since I'm going insane, stepping on rust and nuts and bolts, but you could see the floor pans are dirty, but they are absolutely mint under this car. I don't think there's a single pinhole in any of the floor pans. That's just where the little punch out is. It's not a pinhole. So you could see my inner rockers. Let's go, maybe the light's a little better on the other side. My inner rockers and the original outer rockers. All I have to do is make a little L-shaped bracket all the way down, and I can rosette weld it, and it will be completely welded together. I didn't channel it as much as I intended to, because when I was looking at it, I realized I wouldn't be able to have any room, headroom or anything. I'd be sitting on the floor. It would have been goofy, so we didn't go that route. So I'm pretty happy with how things are going here. So I only tacked the body to the frame in 2 spots on each side because I knew that I might have to lift it, and seeing where the sitting position is, my knee is like level. The seat could go down probably an inch or 2, but I think the body's just gonna have to come up level with these rockers. It's gonna make it easier anyway to make a sill plate fit. It's gonna make a lot of things easier. I mean, the Plymouth is still gonna sit lower than it did factory anyway, but I don't know. I'm just gonna keep working at it. I think we can make it good. Filming with my iPhone. I always like the dash mounted mirrors on these cars. It's so cool. Anyway, I'm going to keep on getting it. I put all the stuff in the trunk. Oof. I cleaned out the floor pans. I need to vacuum them. At least I don't have to paint them because they match the roof, but I put everything else in the trunk. All the wiring harness and stuff in the trunk. But I've got a lot of little goofy stuff to do. Steering, wheel situation, which I found some wheels that have a better offset. I think they're gonna work just fine. Then I gotta make, the front fenders, the core support, but right now I just wanna focus on the body. I wanna get this up on all fours and get the steering done so I can drive it, and then get the doors and everything back on it. So it's more of a car. I can move it around and work on it. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's looking pretty good. Other than the fact that the seat needs to go down a couple inches, that sight makes me very happy. Just the seat and the dash being back in the car, kind of. I pulled the column out of the 58. I sawzalled it off, and the inner tubes look to be a similar size. So I think if I just cut this and weld it to the tube on the inside of that, and then use this whole piece, this like felt bearing on the end of it, I can make it all work. Wish me luck. So really what's left is figuring out the steering, which I was hoping I could use some of the stock components. I don't think that that's going to happen. You could see how, well, maybe you could, there we go. You could see how misaligned that steering is. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but just trust me, this is way over here and that is way over there, so it will not line up. I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna have to drill my own hole down here. I'm gonna cut the stock column because I wanna use the stock steering column and steering wheel. Mopar was really weird. They kind of keyed their steering wheels so they only fit on one way on the splines, where most other car companies, you could pop them off and move them. So I got to be really careful that I center it as best I can for when it gets alignment. But I've got the steering bracket I got to drop in here, and then that bolt hole right there is right here. You can see the witness mark is where the original Plymouth bracket went. So I'm going to try to make all those things fit together. Sorry, I'm making a bunch of noise here. I'm going to try to trim the fat off of the original pedals. I was going to try to use the original pedals, but it's going to be easier, I think, to use the Chevy stuff because the master cylinder and everything is already on the firewall. The booster, the hole, the braces, it's all already there. So I'm going to use this and probably about this much of this. And then I'm going to weld the back end of this brace here to the factory brace. You could see it almost lines up, so it's not going to be much to make this all one piece with the brace that comes down. It's a lot to explain, but it'll all make sense. It'll be nice and strong. My steering and everything will be locked in place. Everything will be good. So I'm going to grab the stock steering column and see how much of it I need to cut off. I shared some progress of the body swap in one of the body swap groups on Facebook, and that went okay. But then some other people shared the body swap in some of the Plymouth groups, and it was probably about a 50-50 mix. People liked it or they didn't like it. Really, I don't know that I'm gonna have to cut much of anything. Here's where it originally mounted. I should grab a tape measure. One moment, please. So, anyway, I appreciate everybody who has followed along on YouTube, who is also on Facebook, defending me, fighting for your life in the Mopar groups. So 6 inches, about 5 inches difference. If I drill a hole in the firewall, which I want to do, I want some of the factory column to stick out the end so that I can use a column saver kit, is what they're called. And it adapts the factory style steering shaft to the double D, I think, Chevy steering shaft. That way I'll be able to use the Chevy steering box and my stock column and my stock wheel. I don't like Chevy tilt columns in old cars just because they're gigantic. Honestly, that's the only reason. They're just huge. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the floor in a straight line where I'm going to need to cut with a hole saw. And we will go from there. It's going to be quite a weird angle, and it's right on that seam. So hopefully this works. Yeah, you can't tilt this down. It's just gonna have to be there. Let me get you over here and show you where I'm at. Oof. But I don't think I have to cut this again. Oh God, I'm gonna die. All right, so here is where the steering column comes through. Put it in that factory mount, and it comes right down. Actually, I might be off a little bit, hang on. There we go, sorry. Comes right down to there. I am off. I'm glad I redid this. Double checked. I'd have been drilling a hole in the wrong spot. Now you can really see how far off the other column was. I really think that I'm gonna leave the car right here. Just channeled over a little bit like that. I was gonna bring it back up, but I think that this is gonna be okay once I drop that down 5 or 6 inches. If not, it's just metal. I can always cut and weld more. Okay, I lied. I'm gonna go above that seam. I think it's gonna be all right. It's supposed to have a rubber pad, so it should have a little bit of slack in it. I'm gonna go ahead and drill a hole there. Let me mark that. All right, hopefully the camera doesn't fall over. I got my spider tarantula hole saw. It is 2 1/8, and the steering column I believe is 1 3/4 inches, something like that. Hopefully I can get in there. Yeah, I should be able to get in there. It's got a nice sharp drill bit, but I'm gonna have to get in at like a downward angle. Don't know if I'll be able to do that. See if I can start a pilot hole, maybe. I'm gonna hit a hammer with a hammer. People love that. Oops. Let's see if I can get in here. Could just take the brake pedal out of the way. Whoa, that bit quick. Holy cow. It is just trying to rip out of my hands. It's grabbing instantly. It's that sharp. I want to try to ease into it, but the drill bit isn't long enough. No, now it's spinning. Wow. These things are sharp. Holy cow. Is a sharp hole saw. Holy cow. Hopefully I didn't miss the mark. That would be embarrassing. Let me see if I can slide my column up in there. Oh yeah. I'm hitting on something on the other end. I still got to go in a ways. But I think that's gonna work out okay. Let's see what I'm hitting, I guess. Oh, it's nothing. It's just a battery cable. One moment, folks. There's the little cardboard tube that the battery cable runs through, the little toilet paper tube. It was hitting that. I am going to have to cut some of the end of the column off, clearly. But how much? Doesn't look like much. 2 inches. I'll show you, hang on. Come with me. Let's check it out, folks. All right. You guys watch Jennings? Was it Jennings Motorsports? Is that what it is? on YouTube? The guy sounds like Mr. Mackey. We're going to go ahead and start this car. It ain't been started in 38,000 years. I love that dude. Anyway, here's the firewall. I think we can cut more than 3 inches off. There's the toilet paper tube. Here's the original steering column. It still might be too low because, yeah, it's going to want to hit on that. I'm going to have to figure this out. I don't think I could go any higher with it. That's almost what it needs, though. Well, I could put one of those. I'm gonna have to double. Yeah, I'm gonna have to double U-joint it and put one of those steering bracket holders here, split it down there. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. It's getting complicated. All right, I got it kind of roughed in place. So the thing is, it's a little tight. It's no different than my 59 Buick is stock, honestly. But like I mentioned, this seat can come down 2 inches, and that would give me plenty clearance between the steering wheel and the seat. Either that, or I can bring the car body up. So those are my options. If I bring the car body up, it's going to make matching the steering column much easier, because that's probably, what, 2 inches right there? I would get 2 inches here. If I brought the seat down 1 inch, that would give me 3 inches here. Look at that, I nicked my steering wheel somehow. Oh well. But again, if I brought the body up 2 inches, that would bring that steering shaft up to right here, just underneath the brake booster. And it might save me some rag joints. So I'm gonna think on that. The last thing I need to do is get the steering column figured out. So I gotta order some parts for that and get my rear wheels on figured out. And this thing should be able to drive off of this lift very, very, very soon. So I'm feeling positive, feeling excited. It's a long weekend coming up, so I'm gonna take a break, I guess, and figure out if I wanna bring this body up or if I wanna deal with the steering another way. Because I could always do the steering column an extra mount. It's close to that. Nah, it's not that close. I could cut the steering column right here and do the column saver, and then run the steering right out up here with a another bracket on the firewall to hold it. I've seen that done. So I really just need to take some time, think about this steering situation, and come back to it fresh next week. So as always, I want to thank you guys for supporting this channel. It's grown quite a lot since I've been posting these Plymouth videos. I want to thank you guys for all of the support. The support is crazy, especially on this build. This car, 2 summers ago, the summer before last, was literally buried in some farmer dirt with bones inside of it from dead critters. And now it's got clean, rust-free floor pans. It's got a drive train that I know for a fact runs and drives because it drove in here. It's got a trunk pan that actually lined up pretty darn good with the Caprice stuff. This is all gotta be made and braced in. It's all the finer details of connecting the 2 bodies now. But again, I need to think on that steering situation, if I want to bring that body up or if I want to do something else with that steering column. I know that I want that factory steering column and factory style wheel. I do have the 59 parts car, but I feel like the steering columns were pretty different compared to this car. So again, figure out the steering, get this thing back up on all fours, get the wiring harness. I'm just gonna do a basic wiring harness just so it starts and moves. And then we gotta start building core support and all that fun stuff. So I think this is the end of this video. The body swap has now happened. The bodies have been swapped. Hopefully next time we'll have some steering figured out and maybe get it fired up at least. So again, I will see you guys next video. I appreciate everything as always. Thanks a lot.